The great leap continued. The great leap continuation. The excitement of Sri Hanuman grew in no abatement. Like a small child looking at the elephant with wonder, he saw what is happening around him. In his excitement, he was not even aware that he is pulling heavy clouds with him, and at times he was hidden by dark clouds, and other times he hid the cloud. He looked like a moon coming out of the mouth of planet Ragu whenever he came out of the dark clouds. And this was a rare sight for those moving out here. And the excitement was mutual, as they too were wonderstruck at the sight of Hanuman's great leap. Sages, Gandharvas, warriors and Devas were all happy about what they saw, and they consulted among themselves as how to see the still best of Hanuman. Some feared putting a test to prove the valor of Hanuman and thought not a prudent decision, while majority of them were excitedly in favor of bringing a test to Hanuman. Hanuman was keen on gaining high speed to his movement, and he was not aware of the frolic attempts of the holy crowd trying to test him. He was flying like a huge mountain over the sea. Wherever he reached, the sea under him raised from its bed to a great height, raising a tsunami reaction. The animals living in the sea, irrespective of their sizes, were afraid of movements taking shape around them, and they leapt from one place to another, as the big and powerful squeezing the life out of the small animal in the process. Hanuman, without knowing these, continued his flying. The gathering crowd below said it was time to test Hanuman. Hanuman, without knowing these, continued his flying. Before they indulged in action, something of another wonderful event happened. On the surface of the sea, there was a huge figure floating in one corner without movement. It was Simhika, a Rakshasa with great appetite, lying in anger without food for many days, waiting for a prey. She saw the huge Hanuman flying, and she also saw his shadow falling on her and moving further. She was very pleased to see the size of Hanuman and felt that a fitting end to her starvation of many days has come at last. Thinking of her greatest opportunity to fill her huge stomach with an equally huge prey, she raised herself in a split-second time, which is very unusual for a size like hers. She started hurriedly pulling the shadow of Hanuman that has fallen on her with great speed. Hanuman's flying speed drastically disturbed, and he could not immediately assess the situation. But in a moment he caught the source of disturbance through the corner of his eyes, and also understood that it is a Rakshasa, Simhika, about whom his father had already warned him about. On an earlier occasion, while teaching the intricacies of warfare, Vayu Bhagavan had told Hanuman about this Simhika, that she was a most horrible Rakshasa who will devour many times of her size of food, and very powerful and tricky. He advised Hanuman to be careful while traveling over the seas. Hanuman remembered his father and prayed that he be with him in encountering this Rakshasa. He prayed that Sri Ram, who would be aware of these developments, will stand by him in this hour of crisis. Simhika, a gifted Rakshasa with the power of assuming any shape that she likes, came above the sea and assumed the largest possible size, and rushed towards the flying Hanuman, and opened her ugly, atrociously large mouth, and laughed with a terrible roar. Simhika expected Hanuman to fall at the very sound of her laughter, but nothing of such a sort happened. Hanuman assured himself that it was only Simhika and thought of ways of encountering this menace. An idea struck him, and accordingly he took the largest size of himself and stood before her, inviting to swallow him. Undeterred, Simhika, no more hesitant, and in a hurry to fill her starving stomach, opened her mouth more than the size of huge Hanuman, came rushing. She roared like pregnant clouds with lightning and thunder, and tried to swallow him in one big gulp. But Hanuman saw what was coming, and he suddenly reduced himself to the size of a thumb and plunged deep into her ugly and revolting mouth, filled with horrible sharp teeth, and once inside her mouth, quickly he surveyed her vulnerable points in her body and started destroying them one by one so quickly that Simhika hardly had the time to realize as to what is happening to her. This wonderful quick battle was witnessed by all the Devas and Rishis, who were awestruck with the strategy of Hanuman, prayed for his safe return from the Rakshasa's nasty mouth. Having destroyed all her vital strong features, Hanuman, like lightning, came out of her mouth and stood before her, taking his normal size. Hanuman saw how he tore Simhika into pieces and how she crumbled before him and finally fell on the sea like tiny pieces of paper and dissolving into it water. The fall of the cruel Simhika was celebrated by the onlookers and holy men, and they paid glowing tributes to Hanuman. They said, "Hey Hanuman, you have achieved a most magnificent deed, and you have killed a most terrible giant, and now all of us are safe thanks to you. Now we pray for the success of your mission." Hanuman bowed and happily took leave of the holy men. Hanuman assumed his frame as suitable to make a great leap and leapt high and continued his journey towards Sri Lanka. He shed tears and felt, "Hey Prabhu Ram, You are the pivot with which my life revolves. What can I do without your blessings? I am happy that I am fit enough to take this journey in search of Mata Sita. I would like to unite you with Mata Sita as soon as possible. Let your blessings continue to guide me. Thinking thus, and with tears rolling down his face, Hanuman got on with his great leap, chanting Ram, Ram.